Friday. Glad you could join me today for today's Facebook Live video. As you may know, or maybe not know, this is Julia Campbell. I help nonprofits build their movements and engage their communities using social media. And I'm really excited to be here with you today to talk about some of my favorite topics, especially one that combines my news junkiness with my social media obsession. That's always good. So I just want to say happy Friday. I always want to know, where are you writing from? Unless you're Jim and you're writing from Florida and it's warm, I don't want to know. If you're writing from somewhere with a lot of snow, please tell me and I will talk to you. I'm just kidding. We had our fourth nor'easter here. I'm north of Boston. Didn't bring much, thankfully. I don't think the power is going to go out today, but you never know. There might be some errant branch that falls on a power line. That's the joy of live video, though, right? You just never know. I hope that a lot of you are going to the March for Our Lives tomorrow. I will be at the Boston March, starts at noon. If anyone wants to meet up, I'm happy to meet up with you. So March for Our Lives, I think it's a really important cause. I'm really excited to see teens and young people taking civic action and encouraging people to vote, encourage civic engagement. It's really, really cool. So that's tomorrow. So today, what are we going to talk about? Something, maybe a little thing that you heard about, the Facebook data scandal. So today I'm going to answer the question, what the heck is going on with Facebook? And is it time for nonprofits to break up with the world's most powerful social network? So we're going to talk about that today. So what I first want to do is just really give you a little bit of background. I'm talking like 30 seconds, 10 seconds of background in case you don't know what's going on. So what happened is that this political data firm on Sunday, Cambridge Analytica, this is a political data firm. It was founded by Steve Bannon and Robert Mercer. So there's really no doubt as to the politics of this data firm. They announced that they were able to scrape the profiles and harvest some data from 50 million Facebook users without their knowledge. So clearly that's a huge breach of trust and it's a huge breach of Facebook's terms of service and all of that. They then use that information to potentially influence people during the election campaign. So they were obviously working for Trump. This is Steve Bannon and Robert Mercer. And they use this data. So how do they use this data? It's really actually interesting. If you are a marketing and social media geek like me, it's pretty interesting. It's called psychographic advertising. So here's how it works. People take a personality quiz. And it's not one of those, which Muppet are you? Which Game of Thrones character are you? This particular quiz that they gave was, under the fraudulent guise of academia. It was an academic quiz. So this particular quiz that people took was very comprehensive, and it was a personality quiz. And it was used to determine several different factors. So let me give you an example. So what they did was, in the Republican campaign, say they saw a voter who was very pro-gun or a pro-gun person who had identified, based on his Facebook likes, based on comments, things like that, was very pro-gun, and he was high on the neuroticism spectrum in the personality quiz, they are going to feed him different ads. So he would see ads with like storm clouds and probably immigrants with guns and Hillary's going to take our guns, things that would feed into his neuroticism or her neuroticism, right? And then a separate pro-gun voter that is deemed maybe a little more agreeable, maybe a little more introverted, less neurotic, might see an ad that emphasizes tradition, emphasizes hunting with your kids, emphasizes community values and that kind of thing. So it's actually very interesting to see how this all played out. Okay, so that's a little bit of background. And let me see who's on here. Hi, Laura. Hi, Annette. Oh, Minnesota, you've got a lot of snow. Janice and Hingham, there is snow here. Yay, Hingham. Awesome. So thank you guys for telling me a little bit about where you're from. So at least we're all in cold locations together, right? I looked at my weather forecast, which I really never do, and it said the little snowflake next week, and I just turned it off. I couldn't even look anymore. We're done. We're done with winter. We're done. Winter, we're done. Okay, time to be able to go to the playground and then time to go to the beach. So what happened? There was huge fallout after this announcement. But for me, the most disappointing aspect of it was Facebook's kind of tepid and lukewarm response. I don't know if any of you saw it. They failed to acknowledge what was happening. They had received multiple reports about this going back to 2015. They were sending out tweets and getting in like tweet wars around, just the words being used. They said data breach, and then they tried to sue the London Observer from printing the story, which, I mean, come on, like, don't they have PR professionals working with them? I don't know what they're doing. So granted, Zuckerberg did go on CNN and give an interview. He did a whole Facebook post, which if you haven't read it, go to his Facebook page and read it. And actually, if any of you listen to the podcast, it's called The Daily. I'm obsessed with it. And if my husband's watching this, I yelled at him last night because he doesn't listen to The Daily. It's a podcast released by the New York Times every morning, but it goes really in depth into whatever news story of the day. So it's not just a list of headlines of the day, it goes in depth. And apparently Mark Zuckerberg called 2 New York Times reporters and tried to talk to them on the record. And that's what The Daily was about yesterday. It was really interesting. Anyway, so it sounds like Facebook is, I mean, it's a real mess. It's not just a PR mess. It's a trust mess. Zuckerberg said, if we've built this kind of platform and people can't trust us with their data, then we have no reason serving them, right? So it's interesting. It's just interesting. Oh, yay, Laura. It's my favorite, The Daily. Amazing. You have to listen to it. I never miss it. I never miss one. So not only did this Cambridge Analytica story come out, this is on the heels of a horrendous, past year of news for Facebook. We've all heard it, right? It was Facebook using its platform. It didn't actually actively monitor the use of the Russian trolls or the access to its platform by Russian trolls, who we now know might be tied with Cambridge Analytica. It might be all tied up together, and spreading propaganda, spreading fake news. They don't do well enough there. They also recently, obviously this year, they changed their algorithm, which has caused a lot of disarray and disruption in the publishing industry, because they had said to publishers, hey, build your base, build your community on this platform, and we're going to send you traffic. And then they took away all the traffic. So they kind of pulled a bait and switch there, which is not necessarily anything new, right? We know that Facebook's a public company. We know Facebook doesn't have our back. Okay, repeat after me. Facebook doesn't have my back. We know that. Okay, we understand that. We're going into this with open eyes. We know about this. So they announced their new mission statement, because now they're going to be all touchy-feely. They want to give people, it was to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. Okay, so awesome. Great. What does that mean? But basically they were responding to really bad press. And of course, there were all of those studies, one done by Facebook itself, that showed that the more time you spend on social media, the more depressed and anxious you are. So people have been leaving Facebook. They've been talking or threatening about leaving Facebook for a while now. So my questions are, what did Facebook know? When did they know it? How are they going to prevent this again? And can they prevent this again? I mean, is it even possible? Is it just such a behemoth now that they can't even prevent it? The other question I want you to ask yourself, and really analyze when you're thinking about your nonprofit leaving Facebook, is, are your fans leaving Facebook? Is your audience leaving Facebook? I know, Laura, it's true. Facebook does not have my back. Pew Internet released their social media report, and they actually found that 2/3 of US adults have Facebook accounts. This was, released in February, so it was before this latest scandal, but still, Facebook, 68% of US adults, and roughly 3/4 of that 68% go on Facebook every single day. So is Facebook dying? I don't think so. I really don't think Facebook is under any threat of dying. I think that it's having a major PR crisis, and it might be losing maybe new members signing up, and it's definitely decreasing in usage just from what I have seen amongst my friends and family. But I think the overall global trend is that it's still a powerhouse to be, you still have to contend with it. So what does this all mean? Should you delete your account? Okay. I say no, but then that's just me. It's a completely personal opinion. I don't think that nonprofits should be leaving Facebook. However, I do think it's important to understand that your entire life, if you have a smartphone, if you have a Google account, if you have an Amazon account, if you have any other social media accounts, it's the same thing. I mean, it's Sophia Umoja Noble, she's an author, and I will put her book in the comments afterwards. She wrote this fantastic book. It's called Algorithms of Oppression, How Search Engines Reinforce Racism. It's a fabulous, fantastic book. She wrote, deleting individual Facebook accounts will not solve the total datafication of our lives. It's a symptom, okay? It's not the cause. And it's going to give you some temporary satisfaction, but it's not going to have an impact on the way that our data is collected and packaged and sold every single day. I mean, I'm a marketer, so I understand how your data, I really don't know the back end of it, but I understand. And those little breadcrumbs that follow you over the internet. Facebook is just one piece of the larger puzzle, and that's really important to know. So I will put the link to that book. It's called Algorithms of Oppression. All nonprofits especially need to be reading it and understanding what it's like. Melissa says the book sounds amazing, truly amazing. Algorithms of Oppression. Look it up. I'll put the link. There. It's pretty eye-opening, actually. It's all about Google searches and what comes up when you search certain terms. Is pretty amazing. So the other point that I wanted to make is that, people that say, I'm going to delete Facebook, okay, that's great. Your mobile phone is basically a tracking device also. All of the apps on your mobile phone, they're collecting data constantly, especially if you have location services turned on. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I personally don't mind. I love Google, and I want Google to control my whole life. We have Google Home. We have Google Nest. We have a smart lock for our door that links to Google. We have everything Google, and I personally love it. So for me, that's my comfort level, and that's what I like. But for other people, I know it can seem a little bit like Big Brother. So you got to think about that. So in conclusion, what can nonprofits do in the light of this news? Because obviously the big brands are not going to do anything because, I don't know, I just feel like nonprofits have a responsibility almost to be ethical watchdogs a little bit for the platforms that they're on. So I think what nonprofits should do is continue to be, that trusted go-to resource for your audience, continue to share that unique and interesting and helpful information. Be valuable. Just continue to do what you're doing. Continue to share your stories, build community. Just be authentic. Continue what you're doing. However, if you are fundraising, I've read a great article. I will also put it. I'm going to write a whole blog post about this, but I read a great article in Reuters about Facebook fundraising in the wake of this. And will people trust that their financial information is secure? Will they be making donations on Facebook after this? So that's a whole huge implication. But if you are raising money on Facebook and people ask you questions, just be transparent, explain the pros and the cons, explain that you are not in control of the donations that you receive on Facebook. You are not in control of the donor's information. So if they feel uncomfortable, the best way is probably to do it through the server, do it through your website. I would just be transparent, accessible, be eager to help, answer questions. If you feel like it's something that your particular audience is struggling with and talking about, say something. Do a little Facebook Live and say, hey, everyone, Facebook is one of the main ways that we communicate with you. We really like sharing trusted resources with you. We really like sharing news and announcements. However, as we all know, Facebook is not the best place for us to communicate and connect. So if you can, sign up for our email list. I would use this as an opportunity to really push people to your email list, which is a much better way to communicate with them anyway. But also if they're feeling uncomfortable with Facebook, you can say there are other options to hear from us. You don't have to completely leave Facebook altogether if you have built up a reputation there. So those are my little talking points. I'm going to write a full blog post about this, include all the links, and I will put some more links in the comments. So if you have any questions, let me know. And Laura, thank you. Thank you. I thought it was a great idea. You heard it here first. I don't know. I haven't seen nonprofits talking about this. This is also part of my rant that I go on all the time, and you know this. Nonprofits need to get in the conversation, okay? Because we don't operate in a vacuum. We don't operate in a silo. Everything that happens in the world affects us in some way. And now if we are not going to be able to raise money on Facebook, if we're not going to be able to do events on Facebook, it's really going to impact our ability to, do our jobs and grow our organizations. So we do need to talk about it. Okay, let's see. Janice says, how can we trust the data Facebook puts on the analytics page? By that, I mean post reach, organic reach, etc. I sometimes wonder if those numbers are fake and if they use them to manipulate you to thinking you should pay money to boost a post. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. So clearly when we sign up for a social media account, we are trusting that they are not going to violate their terms of service and that they are going to provide us accurate information. What I would recommend is that you hook up your Facebook page to another analytics account. It might be costly, like a HubSpot or an Agorapulse. Even Hootsuite will run reports on your Facebook page, because then you can compare. And if it's really drastic differences, then you might know. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about major, Facebook insights, Facebook analytics scandals. So I'm assuming you have to trust it. I just think that reach is down. Organic reach, organic engagement, unpaid reach and engagement is just down across the board. It's just the new reality, or it's the old reality. I mean, it's been the reality for a couple of years. I would just not focus on that. I would focus on the people that are interacting on your Facebook page. And I would, like I've said in previous Facebook Lives, focus on events and local news and happenings, because Facebook today, at least, this could change tomorrow, has said that they're going to push those kinds of notifications. And if you're really, really struggling with Facebook, you might want to consider creating a Facebook group. I would never suggest create something just for the sake of it, but I think that it's a much better way to reach people. It's a much more genuine way to interact with people. It's less of a billboard. It's like less marketing. It's much more, let's have a conversation about this together. So that might be something to consider as well. And I will put links to resources in the comments for you. Laura posted an article, Facebook scandal could push other tech companies to tighten data sharing. Yes, so TechCrunch basically called for Mark Zuckerberg's resignation, and then they walked it back and they said they didn't. So TechCrunch is fantastic resource. I found that the best resources on this issue tend to have the breaking news, and they tend to not necessarily be like very partisan, is our TechCrunch and The Guardian. And The Observer, of course, the London Observer, which broke this story. So I think the implications have yet to be seen. I mean, Facebook suspended Cambridge Analytica. They published a whole series of posts about how you can check which apps are taking data or giving data to Facebook. So when you share from the New York Times, or you share from something else, some other news article that you read, or you share a GIF, or you share a meme, or you share a video to Facebook, if you're using an app to do that, that's data that Facebook gets. So any apps that you have that might be connected to Facebook, it's important to do maybe a little bit of an audit and an inventory to see what's connected, to see if you're still using those apps, to see, if you just want to do some house cleaning, some spring cleaning. And that's a good idea. I should do a whole thing about how to spring clean your data, and make sure that everything's up to date and that everything's being used in the best way. So if you have no other questions, I will leave you to your Friday. You can always post questions in the comments later and I will get them. Also, jump over into the Facebook group. I'm going to put the link. And, Annette has a question. Jump over in the Facebook group, which I monitor pretty much 24/7 because I'm obsessed with it, and ask a question there. It's a great community of nonprofit people asking questions and getting answers and sharing expertise. Is great. Okay, Annette says, in addition to getting them on our email list, should we also ask what social media channels they prefer? We use Facebook and Twitter, but I'm considering Instagram. We're looking for the voice of the customer. Absolutely. I would say, well, this is the other thing. So I would ask them, right? But we all know that people, they say one thing and then they do another thing, right? We all say we hate negative political ads, and then those raise the most money. We all say we hate those ads with the dogs and the cats and the Sarah McLachlan song playing. Yeah, that raises millions of dollars. So I would be wary if people are saying, oh, I hate Facebook, because they might like a channel, but they might not necessarily want to hear from your nonprofit on that channel. So I absolutely would encourage you to survey your audience members. But if you ask them, do you want to get emails from us? They're all going to say no, or most of them are going to say, we get too many emails, don't send us emails. But then email has the highest return on investment for nonprofits in terms of online fundraising, just based on the data. So we all know how humans are. We say one thing and then we do another thing. So just saying, but I would absolutely ask them and then say, tell them why you're asking. So say with the, I wouldn't even bring up Cambridge Analytica, any of this, because it could just sidetrack it. I would say, we're really trying to, maybe we're trying to spring clean our social media presence and our online communications. We'd love to hear from you. What channels are you spending time on? What channels are you interacting on? What are you really excited about? And we just want to find new ways to share our stories with you, share our impact, and to, connect with you and get your feedback on our work. So talk to them like you would just talk to a friend. And, make it fun and interesting, and always explain the why behind your ask. Always. Yes, Facebook Live, encouraging people to get on the email list. I saw this a lot when Instagram did their algorithm change. So Instagram used to be chronological, and actually they're going to go back, I think, to more chronological. I just read an article today about that, because what happens was Instagram is such an in the moment thing. People would be logging on January 3rd and they'd be seeing Christmas Eve pictures from someone, and they would be saying this, that's not right. So they're looking at how they can still make it a great experience for you, but make it more chronological than it is. So it's not chronological. So what I saw on Instagram during that announcement were people doing Instagram lives or posting little videos saying, hey, everyone, because of the upcoming Instagram changes, you may not see as many of our posts as you would like. So we really encourage you to join us on our email list. That's where we share our best information. That's where we regularly, provide insights and valuable tips. And we just don't want you to miss anything. Honestly, I would just do it like that. All right. Well, thank you all. Thanks for being here. And make sure you jump in the Facebook group if you're not there. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you're staying warm this weekend. And I will, I know next week is Good Friday, and I'm not exactly sure what my plans are. I think one child has school off, one child doesn't. I don't even know. So at this point, I don't know if I'll be back on Friday. But, like I always say, just jump on my email list and you'll get an email and I'll let you know. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.